So, season 2 has just been confirmed, so we get more of the Bad Batch, more of this just beautiful art style that I absolutely love, and hopefully we'll get more about, like, who they are and how their, like, backstory went, that kind of thing. I'd like more of that, and just to see more, like, of them saving other clones, that kind of thing. But it does have me thinking a little bit, you know, like, what's gonna happen to Crosshair, for one, because after what happened in this episode, and kind of this entire show in general, I'm kind of worried that he's gonna be the one to, like, sacrifice himself in order to save the rest of his brothers, that kind of thing. Like, it comes down to that. So I'm a little worried that he's gonna be the one to, like, give his life to save the rest of them. And I really hope not, because, like, he was barely in this season, like, at all. Like, honestly, like, half the episodes he was probably in. So I don't know, it would feel weird if they killed him off this quickly. Like, I already get the vibe that the show doesn't like Crosshair as a character very much to begin with, so, like, if he does die in this next episode, that's gonna kind of confirm it to me that, yeah, they don't really like him that much, because why would you kill off a character that quick when you barely show him doing anything, really? So it's like, I really hope they don't kill him off, but, like, if it does come down to that, like, situation where someone needs to stay behind in order to save the rest of them, I think Crosshair's gonna be the one to do that, to, like, atone for everything he's done, even though he hasn't really done a whole lot because we didn't see a whole lot of him, you know. But yeah, that's just got me a little spooked for this last episode, you know. But before I continue to rant, what is up, my dudes, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, what's up? I am One Creative Ginger, and in this house we have salty takes and emotional rants over fictional media, all while wearing the most amazing makeup you've ever seen in your entire life, and that is a fact. Squeaky chair, Jesus, okay. So, does that sound like fun? Well, how about helping a bitch out by clicking that subscribe button, and if you find at least one of your brain cells enjoying at least a millisecond of this video, why not hit the like button too? So, this episode starts off with Hunter, who is being transported on, like, an Imperial ship, so they're not on the planet that they were in the last episode, because I thought they were going to stay there, but that's not happening. So, he's being transported to Camino, apparently, and while they're traveling, Crosshair takes his little tracker communicator thing, so they are able to lure the Bad Batch to Camino so they can do something. Who knows? Who knows what Crosshair has planned? So yeah, there's that. But then we switch to the Bad Batch, who has returned to Ord Mantell because they were gonna drop off Gregor with Sid for some reason. I thought they were gonna hand him off to Rex, but apparently Rex is still busy, so that wasn't a thing. So yeah, they drop off Gregor with Sid, and they're also repairing the ship because it got roasted in the last episode. So once the ship's repaired, they do pick up Hunter's little tracker signal so they can go track him down to Camino, and Omega is able to get them to this secret landing pad so they can sneak in to Poca City. But before any of that happens, we see a Death Trooper talking to Rampart about how they don't trust Crosshair's intentions with the Bad Batch, and they just don't trust any of these enhanced clones, and Rampart's just like, yeah, they won't be a problem very soon, so just, you know, keep an eye out. If they do any crazy shit, you know, kill them, I guess, because, yeah, it just doesn't sound like Rampart wants them around anymore, that kind of thing, which is kind of weird, because, like, his whole, like, he wanted the rest of the Bad Batch because he was like, ooh, I liked what they did in Ryloth, even though they fucked us over. They can do a lot of damage. Let's see if we can get them on our side. But, like, yeah, he was kind of just like, well, since you didn't get all of them, I guess fuck them, right? So, that was kind of weird that he was, like, interested in recruiting them, but, like, when Crosshair was only able to get Hunter, which was a total accident, by the way, because apparently Crosshair was supposed to be hunting them down this whole time, but he never did, and the only reason Hunter was captured was just, like, pure coincidence, so it was kind of like, what the hell's going on with that? So that was just a little confusing, because it was like, Crosshair was supposed to hunt them down, he never did, and then, yeah, Rampart was like, ooh, we should recruit them, but now since we only have one other one of them, so we're still missing a whole bunch of them. Like, nah, let's not do that anymore. Let's go leave them for dead, basically. So that's just been kind of confusing me. Yeah, that whole thing. So yeah, I don't know. It was just weird. But yeah, so the batch lands on this secret platform, and they're able to get into the city using like this little pod thing, which is really cool. I really liked seeing that. That was a really fun touch to add to this episode. So apparently it leads to Nala Se's secret lab, where apparently Omega was created, and also the Bad Batch was like experimented on, kind of, because it was like, the way Omega explained it was kind of like, oh yeah, they were born, but they were defective, but they had like these mutations, and so they were brought to Nala Se's lab to enhance the mutations, which is kind of what Omega said. It's just so vague and a little bit confusing, at least to me, so I don't know. It was just, I want to know more of that. I want to know, like, yeah, like, well, first off, it kind of implies that Omega's older than these guys, which is fun. But, yeah, because she says that she watched them being enhanced and shit like that. So it's like, yeah, I don't know. It's weird. Like, I want to know more. Like, how does all that shit work? Why were they defective? How did they get their enhancements? Was it just, like, pure luck or something? Because it kind of sounds like, you know, they only were able to survive because they had desirable mutations in their DNA, and then Nala Se said, okay, let's try an experiment with that. Yeah, I hope, since we got a second season, I hope they go into more detail about these guys being defective and how their mutations came to be and all that shit. I really want to know more about that because it's so interesting. So then we switch back to Hunter, who's being led around at gunpoint by Crosshair and then this other Death Trooper guy. So then they lead him to a room, and there's a trooper that's like, oh, the Bad Batch is here, and Crosshair's response is like, okay, let them come to us. We don't need to go after them. They'll come right where we need them. And he says that they don't leave their own behind most of the time. And that is just, ooh. It was such a good dig at Hunter, because yeah, you did leave him. You really think he wanted to stay here? Because when Hunter's like, oh, you tried to kill us, we didn't have a choice to leave you, and then Crosshair's like, you really think I had a choice to stay here? Like, he didn't have a choice. Like, he didn't choose to give in to the inhibitor chip. You can't fight that kind of thing. And it's just like, ooh, that was a painful one. I really liked that. And of course, Hunter tries to reason with Crosshair by telling him how the Empire is just hurting people and hurting the galaxy in general and just basically taking everything over, and how they're basically just using Crosshair to do whatever they want, and he's just going along with it, that kind of thing. But yeah, and it looks like Crosshair's gonna like respond to him, because his face is just, that face that he makes in this scene is why I think he's full of shit later on in the episodes. But you know, of course they can't continue that conversation because they get interrupted, because you know, the Bad Batch has been spotted in this sector, and so they're getting kind of close, and Crosshair's like, okay, let's get into position for whatever the fuck they're doing, right? So they do that. So they all end up tracking Hunter's little tracker thing to the training facility where they were in the first episode, you know? So they track him there, and they end up in like the little basement thing where all like the little training droids are stored, and so they're able to, you know, go up on a little platform in order to meet Crosshair and his Imperial team, that kind of thing. So they do that, but they tell Omega and AZ as well, because AZ, they found AZ at Nala Se's research lab, so he's been with them this whole entire time. And yeah, so he stays with Omega, and they stay in the little basement thing while the rest of them go up to meet Crosshair, you know. So before that, Echo tells her that yeah, he'll contact her if shit goes sideways. And of course it does, because, yeah, why wouldn't it? And Omega ends up preparing, like, the training bots so she can send them up there as, you know, their backup, right? So while Omega's booting up all the droids, Hunter is like, oh, are you gonna kill us? That kind of thing. Is that why you brought us to Camino? And Crosshair's like, no, you know, I would have done that a long time ago if I wanted to, that kind of thing. And, which is true, because he could have killed them very easily back on Braca, but he didn't, you know? And, of course, Hunter's like, you know, we're loyal to each other. We're not loyal to, like, an empire or anything like that. And, of course, Crosshair's like, well, you weren't loyal to me, bitch. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? Because, obviously, they've left him multiple times. They have the capabilities of getting him out, especially in places like Braca or Ryloth, for example. Like, they could have easily done it there, but again, it probably would have been a lot harder to, like, get him out, because obviously he's gonna fight them, that kind of thing. And even though he doesn't want to, but, you know, the chip won't let him, that kind of thing. So, Crosshair then says he's gonna give them what the batch never really gave him, which was a chance, you know? And he starts going off about how they're different, they're superior, that kind of thing. And, you know, I don't like that, but, like, yeah. And then he says that if, you know, they join him, they can be brothers again, that kind of thing. And Hunter's like, you really think we can trust you, that kind of thing. And even there's a shot of Tech noticing those little mirror things that Crosshair uses to do, like, those trick shots. So, wonder what's up with that kind of thing. And eventually he's raises his blaster, and when he tells the rest of his Imperial team to stand down and they refuse, he ends up shooting the little mirrors and it takes out all the Imperials. And, you know, that's kind of his way of being like, of course I'm on your side. But then they get interrupted by the training droids that Omega sent up as, you know, their backup, but of course she doesn't know that all the Imperials are dead because Crosshair killed them, right? So Hunter ends up tackling Crosshair right at the beginning, and they end up in a full-on fist fight, which was actually pretty fun to watch. Like, that was a good, really good choreographed scene. I liked that. But then the droids start to overwhelm them, and Crosshair ends up joining them in shooting down the droids, and then the music changes, and it's just like, ah, yes, this is what we want. We want them to be back together again as a full squad already. Like, goddamn, this is what we've been missing for so goddamn long. And it was just, it was great. But yeah, the whole time they're shooting down droids, it focuses in on Crosshair's face multiple times, because at this point he's taken off the helmet, and it still looks like he's fighting a chip. It looks like he's just not having a great time. Like, obviously he's sad, he's confused, that kind of thing. He's just in pain trying to fight this chip that's forcing him to do things he doesn't want to do, that kind of thing. And it's just like, he just wants to be with his brothers. Like, this whole time he's trying to convince them to not leave him again, and it's just, it's sad, because he can't properly do it because the Empire still has a hold on him, because the damn chip's still working to some degree, because I do think it's stopped working to a point, but it's still got that hold on his brain that just doesn't want to let go, and it's sad. But yeah, once they take out all the droids, Hunter looks over, and Crosshair's, of course, clutching his head, because we all know what that means. And of course, when Crosshair turns around, Hunter's pointing a blaster at him this time, and Crosshair just looked so sad when he just turned around and just knew what was happening. Like, like, I don't think the chip had a hold on him for a second there, you know? He just looked so defeated and was like, yeah, that's fair, you know? That kind of thing. And it's just, yeah, his face. So, of course, Hunter's like, you know, let us help you. We can help you remove the chip. You know, this is not you. This is not who you really are. And this bitch has the audacity to be like, no, you're wrong. I removed it a while ago. This is who I really am. That kind of thing. And I call bullshit. I call bullshit, because when Hunter stuns him and, you know, turns his head to see if there is a, you know, surgical scar from where they removed it, I didn't see a scar, and maybe it was just because, you know, he's got that whole radiation scar on the side of his head, and maybe it's harder to see the scar, but I don't know, with how Hunter reacted to it, he was kind of just like, oh, yeah, he's lying, that kind of thing. But it was kind of hard to tell if there was a surgical scar or not, so I hope he was full of shit and was just lying about having the chip removed, but like, I'm a little concerned that I didn't see that properly, but, you know, the fact that he clutches his head right before all of this, after the whole fight with those training droids, and the fact that he looks sad and confused and like he's fighting the chip multiple times in this episode, no, I think he's full of shit. I think he's lying about removing the chip all on his own a while ago, and that's who he really is. Like, no. That's bullshit. So they stun him, and so he's out, and Hunter's like, we're bringing his lion ass back home and getting that stupid chip out, which, yes, thank you, Hunter. Thank you for getting your shit together and being like, we're not leaving his dumb ass, even though there's a chance that his chip might be, you know, removed and this is who he really is, that kind of thing. So they take him with, and of course, while they're escaping, Rampart decides that they're just gonna destroy the entire Camino facilities by shooting them down with those Imperial ships. So they start blasting, and of course the Bad Batch is still in there, and they're just like, oh fuck, how are we gonna get out of here? That kind of thing. And that's how the episode ends, like, ah, yeah, that's not good. But yeah, pretty intense episode, pretty, oh, it's gotten me rather worried for what's gonna happen in this last episode and what's gonna happen in this next season, you know. I'm a little worried, especially from my boy Crosshair, because yeah, he's got me a little concerned, because if he had removed the chip, we would have seen a scar on the side of his head, and then he wouldn't be acting like, he wouldn't have like this sad, confused expression multiple times in this episode, you know, and he wouldn't be clutching his head too. He clutches his head in this episode, so, you know, if he had it removed, he wouldn't be doing this shit. And to call back to earlier on when Hunter and Crosshair are talking, and Hunter talks about how the inhibitor chip's making him do all this stuff, and Crosshair makes that face, you know. That doesn't look like the face of someone who's removed the inhibitor chip, you know. So I do think he's full of shit. There's a small part of me thinks he might be telling the truth, but like, I don't think so. I think he would have, I don't know, he wouldn't be acting like sad or confused. He wouldn't have like this sad and confused expression on his face either, because he does that quite a few times in this episode. I don't know. It just, he definitely has the chip still in there. He's full of shit. I don't believe him. And I'm glad Hunter doesn't believe him either, because yeah, he looks at the scar and was like, I don't see any surgical scar, I see a big ass radiation scar. Yeah. With how this episode ends with them escaping Camino, or the escaping Topoka City with it being blown up by a bunch of Imperial ships, you know, how is that gonna go? I'm a little worried that, again, Crosshair's gonna wake up at some point and then sacrifice himself in order for everyone to escape, which, I don't know, like, how would he do that? I can't think of a scenario where that would be effective, I guess. I don't know how that would work in this scenario where, yeah, Topoka City's being blown up. Like, I don't know if how he'd be able to sacrifice himself, but like, I get the vibe that that's gonna happen anyways. The writers are gonna find a way, that kind of thing, which I hope not, because I'd like to see more of Crosshair, since they kind of shafted him this whole entire season, where he got to be like in half the episodes basically and not really do much. Like, goddamn. But but yeah, wow. This show has been so fun, and I'm so glad it got a second season, because personally, what I would like to see happen is the Bad Batch going out to help rescue other clones and build like this rebel clone army, which would be really cool. And considering we have all these clones that went off-world from Camino and just, like, all over the galaxy, like, we don't know what happened to those clones, so that would be interesting to see, like, what's up with that. And if Crosshair ends up living and not, you know, sacrificing himself in this last episode, you know, I would like to see him struggle with having this guilt over being forced to do awful things because the Empire forced him to do it, you know. And also maybe see a little bit of Echo's PTSD, you know, because we got a little bit of it in the beginning. Like, I would like to see more of that. That would be really, really interesting. Yeah, and going back to Crosshair, like, yeah, like, dealing with his guilt, I think he would, like, voluntarily leave the Bad Batch so he could sort his shit out, because, you know, these guys aren't really into, like, talking out their feelings, that kind of thing, so I feel like he would leave the Bad Batch to go sort that shit out on his own. And it would be really cool to see the Bad Batch's backstory a little bit more, because we've gotten little tidbits of information here and there throughout this season, but we don't know, like, the whole entire picture, really, so I would like to see, like, a flashback or something to see, like, what's going on there, like, how did they come to be, that kind of thing, because we just kind of know bits and pieces of it. We don't have, like, a full entire picture of what's really going on, you know? Also, I would like to see more of Sid, because she has been really interesting and fun, and I think she'd be a good ally, you know, and I feel like they could stick around with her a little bit, you know. And, like, other characters, like, we have Roland, for example, who owes a debt to Omega, you know, because she saved his life and all that shit, you know. So I feel like characters like him might make a reappearance in the second season, which would be really nice, because I did like Roland as a character specifically, you know. He was an interesting character, so I'd like to see him come back. And hopefully we get to see Rex and more of Gregor, because he has been fun, and to see, like, what was Rex doing? Was he saving Wolf? Was he doing something with Ahsoka? Like, I would like to see those characters so much. Like, I really want to see more people, you know, showing up. Like, we could have Maul or Hondo show up. That would be really really fun to see. Either way, whatever happens in this second season, whatever happens in this last episode, it's gonna be great. I definitely don't know what they're planning, how they're planning on ending this season, so I'm a little spooked. I just hope they don't kill Crosshair for dumbass reasons, you know? That kind of thing. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching me rant about episode 15 of The Bad Batch. If you'd like to support me, I sell all kinds of art on these 4 sites right here, if y'all are interested in buying. If you'd like to follow me on other social media, I have an Instagram, a Twitter, and a Tumblr if you'd like to stay up to date on my shenanigans. So, if you like this video, why not hit that thumbs up button, hit that subscribe button, and give that bell a ring if you would like to see more of my face every Saturday when I post a new video. And don't forget to stay sparkly, my dudes!